Hey there, it's Walt. So today I want to talk with you about the land of make-believe when it comes to business. About a year ago, I was in Stowe, Vermont at a beautiful resort property, and I had an online training to deliver. And the property was gorgeous, and the infrastructure was great, and the sound quality was wonderful, and the Wi-Fi coverage was amazing. And I'm about an hour into this hour-and-a-half training, and things are going swimmingly until a construction crew outside the property cut the main power line on the street. And the entire training came to a grinding halt. Well, I recovered from that, and it was a bad experience. And I said, wow, that was a bad experience, and it would have been nice to have some backup. But, you know, that's a kind of one and done thing. And I went back to business as usual. Fast forward a number of months, we were in 𝗥𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗍, Argentina, actually a little village outside of 𝗥𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗍, Argentina, during December and January. And the infrastructure there wasn't so reliable. In fact, every time there was a strong windstorm, and we were in the mountains, so there were strong windstorms, the entire little village would lose power for an hour or a few hours, and it was completely unreliable. And we needed to reschedule a bunch of stuff, and there was no backup. And I thought, wow, it would be really good to have some backup here. But, you know, it's 𝗥𝗲𝗁𝗍, Argentina, and we'll be back home soon where the infrastructure is great. And so I just said, you know, we're just going to keep on doing business as usual. And we got back home, and we have wonderful Wi-Fi coverage and great infrastructure. And we're a week here at home, and all of a sudden a tree falls across a major power line and cuts out the power to about a 10-mile swath around where we live for hours, where we have a lot of client delivery work. And I said to myself at that moment in time, maybe it's a sign that I should get some backup. Well, I let it go a little bit longer, but it continued to kind of lurk in my mind that we were vulnerable to business interruption. And so I ordered this wonderful little device that is a globally enabled Wi-Fi router, where I can tap into Wi-Fi no matter where I am or what I'm doing, what the power conditions are, I can tap into global Wi-Fi. So I ordered up this little unit and then forgot about it. It had been back ordered. And one day at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this is about a week ago, the unit arrived, and I was so happy to see it there. I had forgotten about it, frankly. It was there sitting on the counter. And we had a major webinar scheduled for that afternoon at 5 p.m. At 4:05 that afternoon, there was this completely aberrant lightning storm with a major lightning strike blowing out the entire power and internet for the neighborhood for hours. And I thought, OMG, I have the backup. Of course, I had to unpack it and read the instructions and download the app and learn how it worked. But we were able at 5 minutes to 5 to go live on our webinar and handle it as seamlessly as if we were on a main power grid. So here's what often happens in business is that we look at these aberrant circumstances and say, okay, they're aberrant circumstances, and we don't do anything. And here we are in the middle of a crazy year, this 2020 year. Who would have guessed that we would have had the first half of a year that resembled anything like this 2020? And so this is a wonderful moment in time as we come to the end of Q2, as we begin to do our Q3 planning, as we begin to do our planning for the second half of the year. And frankly, there are amazing opportunities to lean into now and in the remaining part of the year. And all of the business disruptions, all of the things that didn't work well in the first year, those things are still out there. And so I want to invite you at this moment in time, this inflection point, this point where we're halfway through the year, to sit down and really examine where you and your business might be vulnerable to what I call a single point of failure. What do I mean by that? In mountain climbing and rock climbing and ice climbing and mountaineering, we create anchors where we rappel off or protect ourselves. And when we build an anchor, it's not just one point in a piece of ice or in a piece of rock. We build multiple points where we are anchored to the side of the mountain, so that if one thing fails, one point fails, there's backup. So where are you susceptible in your business, particularly when it comes to a single point of failure? So it might be, are you too dependent on a single component of the business model? Are you dependent on bricks and mortar? Do you have any type of online presence? Are you dependent upon a single staff person? Are you dependent upon a single client or segment of clients? Are you dependent, as we've been, on a single piece of technology? And if that single point fails, then everything unravels. And, we don't know what's going to happen with the pandemic come the fall. It seems to be fairly unpredictable. And whether the pandemic disappears or doesn't disappear, there's going to be other types of interruptions in our business and in our lives. And so this is a really good time to see the signs and to know their meaning, to actually take action around them, rather than, as I'm prone to do, living in the land of make-believe. It will never happen again. So spend some time and evaluate those points, and then take some action. Make it a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. Talk soon.